Good morning. I'm Dayna Cunningham. I'm a trustee and the very proud mother of a son who will finish his Div 3 next week. So every black mother I know really struggles to find the school that will understand their children and know them to be the learners and the voracious seekers that they actually are. Terms like achievement gap really describe the sense of insufficiency that attaches to them at the earliest ages. So when my son, very perceptive, was 10, he asked me, why do they think black children can't learn? Hampshire was the first institution to see my child for what he was. James was bored with school, and he was seriously considering not going to college, but he humored me and went on a college tour. Our first visit took us to this windowless basement where they showed us row upon row of dusty senior theses and said, this is the intellectual engagement of our students. And my son was like, it didn't help my case at all. But when we got to Hampshire, we saw students really engaged, excited and serious about very compelling intellectual projects. There was a young woman sitting outside under a tree with a microphone, a recorder. She was recording squirrel chirps and mapping them to the pentatonic scale. I still remember that. And there was a kid who was in Mongolia living with horsemen, studying horse tackle. And we were in the Red Barn, and there was a presentation, and they talked about how many students at Hampshire go on to get PhDs. And in that moment, my son, who was not planning to go to college, turned to me and said, I can see myself here. I can see myself here. And so the question for me was, could Hampshire see him? Well, it did. So he took a film theory class, and he didn't like it. And the professor said, well, if you don't like it, just take this camera, go make something, and see me when you've got something. Nobody here, nobody didn't think he could learn. It wasn't just that, though. So he came here. We didn't hear from him until Thanksgiving. But he came home on a break, and he brought 10 young men, almost all men of color. And they sat around my kitchen, and they were debating policy and morals and ethics and citizenship. You know, and my son, the nihilist, was becoming a citizen. So that was great. And then at the end of the first semester, we got a letter from Jonathan Lash. It was sent to all the freshman parents. And it said, because Hampshire's selection process was becoming more rigorous, because it was becoming more rigorous, the number of students of color was increasing. Not in spite of, but because there was more rigor. I have been waiting for a letter like that for 18 years. So I am here to tell you, I am a witness that Hampshire, because it enables and honors the broadest kinds of learning styles, because it insists that the purpose of knowing is to change the world, and because it cultivates responsible citizens, there's room for my black son here, and for many, many others. To my mind, that's the highest purpose of an educational institution. So I'm a huge fan of John Dewey and his idea about citizen scientists, learning about democracy by putting their hands around urgent problems. This, of course, is Hampshire. In my day job, I run a planning laboratory in the Department of Urban Studies at MIT, and our concept is innovation from the margins, that people who have suffered, who have faced institutional failure, actually have a huge amount of ideas about how to reinvent institutions. We spent years, for example, working with women trash pickers who live in dumps in isolated islands in Central America, and they were building businesses to recycle, and in the process taking on a huge global challenge, getting trash out of the oceans. So these illiterate, overlooked, isolated, brilliant women were taking on a major global challenge for the world. So this is innovation from the margins. It's also an intriguing way to think about environmental justice. John Dewey also believed that the true source of democracy was a widespread tendency among the citizenry towards empathy. Here in our little corner of the world, over there at the Kern Center, actually, the Kern Center embodies this idea of this waste picker's spirit of all hands on deck, ecological innovation, and environmental justice. It embodies the cultivation of widespread empathy. Every laminated beam, every super efficient pane of glass, every coat of non-toxic varnish is actually a love note to our sweet endangered earth and an invitation to us as citizen scientists to learn how to take care of her. So I say that Kern is using love as a method of analysis, as a form of critical inquiry, as a way to help us grasp how to extend ourselves for the well-being of others. Simply put, Kern is another reminder that to know is not enough. Non-satisfying. And of course, that is pure Hampshire. It's what we do at Hampshire. It's what brought my son to Hampshire. It's what I love about Hampshire. I suspect it's why most of you are here. It is truly an honor to share this day with you. Thank you.